What if a football tournament could cost more than building entire cities, yet still leave empty stadiums behind? Why do countries spend billions just for 1 month of games? Today we break down the hidden economics of hosting the FIFA World Cup and the shocking trade-offs behind it. From massive construction projects to long-term debt, the story is far more complex than celebration and football. Stay with us to understand who really benefits when the world's biggest tournament arrives. Let's get started. The dream behind hosting the World Cup. Every 4 years, the FIFA World Cup becomes the center of global attention. Countries compete not only on the pitch, but also for the right to host a tournament. For governments, winning the bid feels like winning a global prize. It promises tourism growth, international recognition, new infrastructure, and a chance to showcase national progress to billions of viewers. At first glance, it looks like a powerful economic opportunity. Leaders present it as a transformation moment where a country can modernize quickly and attract global investment. Citizens are often excited at the beginning, expecting new stadiums, better transport systems, and job creation. The energy around the announcement feels like the start of something historic. But behind this excitement lies a much more complicated financial reality that only becomes clear after the tournament begins and ends. The real cost of hosting a mega event. Hosting the World Cup is not just about organizing matches. It requires massive infrastructure development that often reshapes entire cities. Countries must build or renovate stadiums, upgrade airports, improve highways, expand hotels, and strengthen public transport systems. These projects cost billions of dollars, and the numbers vary depending on the host country. Some nations spend relatively less, while others invest staggering amounts that stretch public finances. In many cases, the cost is far higher than expected at the bidding stage because projects expand over time and budgets increase during construction. Brazil, for example, invested heavily in preparing for the 2014 tournament, building stadiums and upgrading infrastructure across multiple cities. South Africa spent billions for 2010, and Russia followed with similar large-scale investments in 2018. Qatar's 2022 edition pushed the limits even further, with costs reaching levels that sparked global debate. What appears as a sports event is actually one of the largest temporary infrastructure projects in the world. FIFA's role and the financial structure. While host countries carry most of the financial burden, FIFA operates under a very different structure. The organization earns revenue from broadcasting rights, sponsorships, ticket sales, and global commercial deals. Looking at the 2026 FIFA World Cup cycle, expectations are even higher because the tournament is expanding and will be hosted across multiple countries, including the United States, Canada, and Mexico. This expansion increases global broadcasting value and sponsorship interest, pushing FIFA's revenue potential even further. With more matches, more teams, and larger global audiences, the commercial scale of the tournament continues to grow significantly. The important point is how money flows in this system. FIFA generates revenue from a global audience, while the host nations are responsible for building and upgrading stadiums, transport systems, security infrastructure, and hospitality facilities. These are long-term investments that often take years to complete and even longer to recover financially. The imbalance becomes clear when comparing risk and reward. Host countries take on massive financial commitments, including public spending and long-term debt in some cases, while FIFA benefits from a highly commercialized global event with relatively limited exposure to infrastructure costs. This creates a structure where one side invests heavily in physical development, while the other primarily earns from global media and sponsorship markets. Even as the World Cup has expanded and modernized over time, this financial model has remained largely the same. The scale has increased, but the distribution of financial responsibility has not changed in the same way. As a result, debates around fairness, economic value, and long-term impact continue to grow stronger with each tournament cycle. The tourism promise and reality gap. One of the biggest selling points for hosting the World Cup is tourism growth. Governments often predict millions of visitors, full hotels, and booming local businesses. At first, this expectation sounds realistic because football fans from all over the world do travel to watch matches. However, the reality is more complex. While fan travel does increase, many regular tourists avoid host countries during the tournament. Prices rise sharply, cities become crowded, and travel becomes difficult. As a result, some of the usual tourism demand disappears during the same period. This creates what economists call a crowding effect. The incoming World Cup visitors partially replace, rather than fully add to, normal tourism. So instead of a massive net increase, the actual gain is often smaller than projected. Brazil experienced this during the 2014 tournament, where some areas saw fewer tourists than expected despite global attention. Hotels outside key cities often struggled once match demand moved elsewhere. Local businesses had short bursts of success, but limited long-term benefit. Stadium construction and the white elephant problem. One of the most visible outcomes of hosting the World Cup is stadium construction. FIFA requires large, modern venues that meet strict international standards. This often forces host countries to build new stadiums or heavily renovate existing ones. The problem is what happens after the tournament ends. Many of these stadiums are too large or too expensive to maintain without regular use. Maintenance costs include security, electricity, staffing, and repairs, which continue long after the final match is played. In some cases, stadiums become underused or completely unused. Brazil's Manaus Stadium, built deep in the Amazon, is a famous example. It hosted only a few matches and then struggled to find consistent use afterward. Without a strong local football culture or regular tenant, it became financially difficult to sustain. These unused or underused stadiums are often called white elephants. They stand as expensive reminders of short-term planning that did not fully match long-term demand. Economic winners and losers. Not all World Cup hosts experience the same outcome. Some countries benefit more than others, depending on their existing infrastructure and economic strength. Wealthier nations with established stadiums and strong football systems tend to manage costs more effectively. Germany's 2006 World Cup is often seen as a more successful example. The infrastructure was already strong, and improvements were more targeted rather than fully rebuilt. The tournament also improved the country's global image and boosted tourism reputation over time. However, countries that need to build everything from scratch often face greater financial pressure. Large investments combined with limited post-event usage can create long-term economic strain. The difference often comes down to whether the infrastructure has a future beyond the tournament itself. This creates a pattern where already developed countries handle hosting more efficiently, while developing nations take on heavier financial risk. The hidden cost, public spending trade-offs. One of the most controversial aspects of hosting the World Cup is how the money is sourced. Most of the funding comes from public budgets or national debt. This means governments are using taxpayer money or borrowing funds to finance stadiums and infrastructure. This creates trade-offs. Money spent on sports infrastructure is money not spent on other public needs, such as healthcare, education, or social programs. In some host countries, this led to public protests and debates about national priorities. Brazil experienced significant public unrest during its preparations for the 2014 World Cup, where citizens questioned whether stadium investments were more important than public services. Similar debates have appeared in other host nations as well. These trade-offs highlight that hosting the World Cup is not just an economic decision, but also a political and social one. Why countries still compete to host? Despite the costs and risks, countries continue to compete for hosting rights. The reason is not purely financial. Hosting the World Cup brings global visibility that is difficult to achieve through other means. It places a country at the center of global media attention for an entire month. This can influence tourism perception, international relations, and national branding. For some countries, this prestige is worth more than direct financial return. In cases like Qatar, hosting was also tied to broader geopolitical goals, aiming to reshape global perception and increase international influence. These benefits are difficult to measure in traditional economic terms. So while financial returns may be uncertain, the value of global attention continues to drive competition. The economics of hosting the FIFA World Cup reveal a complex balance between ambition and reality. On one side, there is global attention, national pride, and potential long-term benefits. On the other side, there are massive costs, infrastructure challenges, and financial risks that often last for years after the final match. For some countries, the tournament has become a success story. For others, it becomes a long-term financial burden. The difference lies in planning, existing infrastructure, and how well post-event usage is considered. Ultimately, the World Cup is not just a sporting event. It is a massive economic experiment that continues to raise one important question every 4 years. Who really wins when the world comes to play? If you found this video insightful, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep breakdowns like this.